7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome.
They say some people think outside the box. The people at iTeam? Most people at iTeam have never seen the box in the first place. And while other companies were busy with, well, building a company, iTeam Global was, and still is, building an ecosystem of innovation. Where most see limitation, we see connection. Where they see problems, we see opportunities. Today, iTeam Global isn't just a company. It's a movement. A force that turns horizontal thinking vertical, challenges into breakthroughs, and what ifs into what's next. So what is next? To tell you more about the next chapter, please welcome to the stage our founder and the man with the plan, Frank van de Fan.
Good morning, everybody. Mostly the second day is very difficult to get everyone awake. That's why we started to do this. I think you have the energy, you have the sound. If somebody's now sleeping, we did something wrong, but we come to that a little bit later. Okay, thank you for being here. And what do I see if I look around in this room? I see my family. My personal family, my business family, I call it my family. So thank you for coming home. Enjoy your stay and day. I have to make a confession to you. How I feel now? I feel very proud. Proud of what we have accomplished because of you and with you. So keep that moment during this gathering. They asked me if I could do a keynote. Basically, I said to them, I cannot do a keynote. What I maybe can do is a story. If you consider later on the story a keynote, it's fine with me, but I will keep it to the story, and later on you will hear why. You see a nice plane? This plane brought me to New York roughly around 40 plus years ago. To where? To the Rabobank, New York. Why? Because I was working in banking business, and in the banking business you are dependent on a lot of persons in all kinds of departments. And in this case I was working on a project, and later I would need the Rabobank, New York. So what did I think? When is the moment to do something for people, to make the personal connection? The moment is there when you believe in the persons who could do things for you. I call this, let's say, the personal connection. So what I did, I gave flowers to those people. I brought flowers, I bought them in New York, I brought them to the departments. This is the moment of the personal connection. You will hear my story. My story is based upon personal connections. So these flowers, let's say, are an important element of this story. Now, as you can see, I have no flowers in my hand, but I believe in you. I believe in what we are doing, and even if you don't believe it, I believe we just got started. So let this story be my symbolic bouquet of flowers to you. A long time ago, Annemarie van Gaal, in one of the keynotes, also on the Thursday morning, said, okay, she introduced the word orchid. The orchid is the flower. The flower, let's say, is a personal attention to somebody. Start to build the personal relationship as soon as there is an opportunity. If there's an opportunity there, take it, execute it, and make the relationship start to work. Not because you need them, but you believe in them. There's a whole different moment of these two. So basically this is also how I I'm working in my life, business-wise and private life. There is a story behind. You already heard I was working for the Rabobank. I did this for many years. I was working in business development at the Rabobank. At that time, the Rabobank just went from what they call agriculture to business. They wanted to have a team of wild guys, I could call it for a moment, and one of them was me. And we developed the bank to what we call a business bank. At the end, after doing that many years, it's about a routine. What? You take the information, you listen to the story, you crunch the numbers, you write them down, you present the story to the board, and then you give an offer to somebody. One of those persons which I met a very long time ago, I don't know if he's here in the room, is Leen Zevenbergen. I go back with him more than 40 years, and he was a customer at the Rabobank at that time. Nobody believed in him, but I did. So that is who I am. I look at the person, not at the business case. A certain day, I think, okay, what I'm doing. I get a kind of routine, we can call this boring. This comes also back in this story a little bit later. So I got bored and said, okay, do I want to do this for the next 40 years of my life? As you have discovered now, the answer was no. I left the bank. Then I came into the opportunity to buy what I call in my language a minority share in a vacuum cleaning company. A lot of people said to me, Frank, for God's sake, what are you going to do? A vacuum cleaning company? How can you make something out of such a simple product? So I had a lot of negative advice, but still I kept going that route. So I did the investment. Many years later, I had the opportunity in that company to change the company, and I changed it to IVAC à la carte. A la carte is the same as in a restaurant. You can choose and pick from a menu. So I thought, if I can do this, and I can talk to cleaners, and I can talk to cleaning companies, I can ask them what they want, it's going to be a different story. So this is where the base comes from where we are now today. So I got the opportunity to do that. I developed an IVAC à la carte. There was a certain business in the business, and that kept on going. In 2008, I got the moment that I could buy the company. I created a new company. It's called Future Cleaning of Technologies, which is still a part of the iTeam global group. Future Cleaning Technologies. That company, let's say, took over IVAC and IVAC à la carte and is now part of what we call the iTeam global group. People ask me, Frank, if you now look back, what is your role model? Yesterday, we heard from Peter van der Hoogband that he came into swimming because he had a role model. That has made him to move into swimming and made him the best in swimming. My role model is Steve Jobs. And my role model company is Apple. And why Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs came on the podium like this in 2007, January to be exact. And he took out of his pocket a thing. And this thing didn't look like a phone. There were no knobs on it. It was not a Nokia, it was not a Motorola, it was a new thing. So he said, I have reinvented the phone. So he didn't make the phone better, he reinvented the phone. These are very key words, let's say, to remember also in our story. Reinvention, let's say. So he made this, and this was the device. The device had an MP3 player, music, photos, videos, computer, and a phone. So it was a 5-in-1. It looks very nice, and then the complexity came. This was completely different from the phones people have used at home with buttons and so on. So he thought this will do miracles for us in the beginning, and then the thing didn't take off. And they said, oh, what are we going to do? So then he came to the conclusion that he needed early adopters. Who were the best early adopters at that moment? Students in the university. They were young, they were eager, they wanted to have new things. So what he did, he gave a lot of phones, 10,000 of them, to what we call young students. And what these young students do? They took the phone in the weekend home because they dumped the wash at home in the weekend, and then also they showed, I have this new device. And then they had time to explain it to their parents. And then all of a sudden, so this is handy, this is a 5-in-1. If we travel, if we go on business, we always forgot something. The camera is not there, video is not there, the sound is not there, all of this. So with all this thing in your hands, you can do everything. So this phone has really changed everybody's life, private-wise and business-wise. Having said that, roughly around 17 years later, 1.4 billion phones of the brand Apple iPhone are in the market. The total amount of smartphones in the market since that day is 6.8 billion. If you know there are 8+ billion people in the world, everybody almost has a smartphone except the babies. They are still not have a smartphone. The rest have a smartphone. It has a way of changing everybody's life, privately and business-wise. Why I make this thing? Because now we'll switch over to our business. Our business, we have a product called the mop. And who made the world invention of this? He's still world famous. I will show you a video, but keep in mind the date, 1876. So now we are almost 150
In 1876, Charles Wheeler invented the mop and bucket, taking over the market by storm.
This is the best solution ever invented. Now I can clean my floor in just a fraction of the time.
And now, with all our inventions and technological capabilities, most people still clean with the mop and the bucket.
Why I bring this in your memory? At the end, we are not just competing with everyday life and business, but also in private. When you go back to the phone moment, it was an integration between private and business. So what you did at home, you were doing in the business. What you did in the business, you were doing at home. If we now go to the mop, this never happened. And we can say we do a good job. I'm not saying that we're not doing a good job. We even call this convention extraordinary. So I think we are doing a good job. But the question is, what is the real job? The real job was, go back to the memory of Steve Jobs, adoption. Did we really do the adoption? And then the simple answer is, no, we didn't. Let me run you down some numbers. 70% of all the cleaning per today is still done manually. This means, let's say, that people are doing that on the way they used to do that at home. If you take another number, there are around 11 million cleaners in the world. Only 1 million cleaners have, I would say, decent tools, mechanical tools and iMop. 300,000 of this 11 million have an iMop. So, are we finished? I don't think so. This is why I said to you, we just started, because I think there's a lot of work to be done. So, we came to the conclusion that we need to have better stories, because story ticks. I think in pictures. This is the way how people will remember things. So, better stories. So we said, okay, we need to write a book, a kind of a book, and a real book. The title of the real book is Change the Way You Think About Cleaning. That's the title of the book. There's a lot of things are in that title. But to make a book, everybody knows who has made the book. Several of you here in the room have done that. I didn't. Only the book, Change the Way You Think About Cleaning, has to have chapters, fundamental things. And we have came up with our, I call them now, our jury members, and these are our icons. The faster, the cleaner, the greener, the safer, and the better. These are chapters in that book. So if you are faster, there is a way you can, let's say, earn budget back. They call it here ROI, return on investment. If it is cleaner, let's say, if people feel, let's say, more pleasant because the smell is better, let's say the place looks better. If it is greener, we are using lower energy, lower water, safer, slip and fall, and better is a smile on the face, which I'll come back to in a few minutes. These icons are a fundamental element of our iTeam story. So let me show you back the old mop so that you get this in your head for a moment. You have shown the invention, 1876, Mr. Wheeler. 150 years we are doing that, and look what we are really doing in this 150 years. This is what we really say to people, this is a very happy job to do this. Look, I'm looking to the floor. I'm moving the thing around. I'm stepping backwards and forwards. And after 10 minutes, I think, okay, this is still okay. But what do you think if I do this 1 hour? What do you think if I do this 2 hours? And then, talking about better stories. Do you think if you come at home in the evening after you have done this 2 hours, you can bring a better story to home? The only story you can bring to home is that I saw a no gray floor or a brown floor. That's the only story you have. That's not a story which is going to stick. That's a boring story and it creates fatigueness. You see here a gentleman on the drawing board. This gentleman thought, okay, we can do better. This gentleman's name is Rudolf Franke. I met him in September 2011 on an exhibition in Berlin, CMS. Every uneven years there is an exhibition CMS. And then he said, maybe I have something for you, because understand that you think from the cleaner, not think from the machine. That's correct, because that was where our iVac à la carte and future cleaning technologies was for. So he said, okay, can we make an appointment? We made an appointment in November 2011. In November 2011, he showed me the concept of the basics of what is now today the iMop. It stands for intelligent mopping. So there is a combination still of the mopping, because that's what people like, the movement, but it's more intelligent. So why it's more intelligent? Because it gives you a freedom to move. It gives you standing up, so you can look people in their eyes. If you can look people in the eyes, they will start to talk to you. You make a clean surface, because why? You put clean water down, you take dirty water up. So all these elements were converted into that paste product. Then we come to the famous words. Here they are. Spread the joy, not the dirt. This quote comes from my business partner, Bill Allen. He's in the room here. Immediately when he saw this was his conclusion. We do not spread the dirt anymore, we will spread the joy. This is exactly what all of us should do and what we are doing. So this moment brings me back in my memory to the introduction of iMop 2014, and in 2015 I was in Vietnam. I met this woman. Look to her, there was a picture taken, she's bending, she does a repeat job, and I can tell you that, and we have many of those pictures, no smile on the face, zero, nothing. Just this picture you see everywhere, all the time again and again and again. So we give this woman one of the first iMops, 2015. She started to work with it, and what happened? She started to smile. She got pleasure in her work. So, what Bill said, the joy arrived. So she got the message. She was proud. We'll come to that a little bit later. So she stood up, she was able to move around, and she even felt a dancer at that moment. And not everybody maybe dance, but if you're a real dancer, it gives you joy. Again, that Daniele knows that, because he's a Latin dancer, so he knows the joy what the dance can give to you. So this moment was special because of it changed the life of people. I have another story, because I'm the guy in storytelling. You say, Frank, why you have this here? I can tell you, you don't know that, but my wife comes out of a family where they have in the Holland term a lot of cafeterias. In the cafeteria is French fries. French fries is potatoes. So there were 9 children there, and one of their jobs was doing this. Real potatoes converting to make it French fries. If you would interview one of those brothers and sisters, they all will say to me, Frank, this is what happened with us. We feel our hands, we feel our minds, we are feeling our backs, everything like that. Because if I ask you to do 10 potatoes, you'll be okay. If I ask you to do 100 potatoes, you will start to say, ooh, I don't know. But now I ask you to do 1,000 potatoes, I can tell you and guarantee you, you will look up like a big mountain. This is what will happen with a boring task, because there is no energy in the task. There's no outlook in the task. It looks like a boring task. So this is the way how mopping really looks. So it's our task to change this for the cleaner, on behalf of the cleaner. How hard it is, how difficult it is, go back to the iPhone moment, it's still our task to keep doing what we are doing. So here you can see a video of making the iMop. It's horizontal, scrubber dryer, it's a mop, it's getting combined to a new device called intelligent mopping. We call this from horizontal to vertical, as you already have seen on the intro. We are the vertical thinking company, not the horizontal thinking company. To demonstrate this to you, we have also created an act with some artists, let's say. They will show you, if it is horizontal, it's quite easy. If it gets vertical, different story. I'll come back to you in a minute.